Hi, I'm Bob Ethington.
And I'm Nick Nicholas.
And this is From Akron and Beyond. Well, it's the holiday time, kids, and it occurred to me and Nick that we've been doing this show now for almost a year, and Christmas is upon us here before long. And so, of course, since we relate everything to music, it occurred to us that we might just name a few of our favorite Christmas songs, holiday songs.
From Akron and Beyond's first Christmas special.
There you go. Exactly. It's destined to become an annual favorite.
So in front of the fireplace, listening to past Christmases from beyond. You know.
Exactly. And I do also wanted to say that, as is usual with lists like this, there's nothing definitive about them.
Nothing.
In fact, if we do this again next year, we'll probably have totally different songs. I think we've almost agreed on that because there's just so many good ones out there. But I think we'll get started with you, Nick. What did you bring for your first one?
Yeah,
And by the way, Nick, before you would go any further,
yes,
we're not ranking these. It doesn't matter what the best one is or the worst one is. These are just four random songs.
Yeah, that's a lead into an upcoming episode we taped a couple months ago where I totally fell apart. I didn't know that countdown meant countdown, you know. Anyway.
And if this what a concept.
Yeah. And if this would have been, a month from now, we probably would have picked four different songs, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
But I'm going to start off with Christmas Rapping by the Waitresses, our good friend Chris Butler that was on the show, a couple episodes ago with us. He wrote this song, and the Waitresses just out of nowhere recently in the last few years have had this massive hit, and it's a great song. But what I wanted to say was that, my time with the Waitresses goes back to my Clone Records days where they recorded I Know What Boys Like. It was back then it was called Wait Here, I'll Be Right Back. Mm-hmm. Different title. Yeah. But I got to talk to Patty over the months that we were working on various musical projects, but never really talked to her in any depth. But in 1981 or 82, I was during the holidays. I was walking around the streets of Kent. I don't know, aimlessly, maybe, I don't know. But I ran into Patty.
I'm voting aimlessly.
She was there visiting, and snow was falling, and we sat and talked for the longest time, by the Venice bar, there in Kent, and it was just a really great memory I have of her, and her passing was too short, But anyway, this song was a great Christmas song.
And it is funny about Christmas rapping, just as a little P.S. to the tune, that it's one of those great things where it's like a perennial song. So, like, money is made every year.
It came out of nowhere, it seems. But, I mean, everybody from the Spice Girls to Mariah Carey, right?
Yeah, right.
And Mariah Carey is... this is the year for her. I mean, she sang it last year at a special, but it's her...
So good for Chris. Well, my first choice is one I just couldn't leave off our first time we do such a list. I've become in my dotage a huge fan of Elvis Presley, that is. Of course,
Sideburns
Elvis Costello.
Included.
Yeah, the whole bit. Going to Graceland really changed things for me. It was awesome. And so anyway, I'm like, well, how do you have a rockin' Christmas list without including, from 1957, very early in his career, Blue Christmas?
I'll have a blue Christmas.
Yeah, my next choice is an album by the Chieftains called The Bells of Dublin. It came out in 1991 on BMG. And, I browsed Time Traveler, constantly. And in the middle of the year, maybe it was even summertime, I came across this record, and it looked really interesting. And it features traditional, non-traditional Christmas songs, but some of the performers are Elvis Costello, Kate and Anna McGarrigle, Marianne Faithfull, Nancy Griffith, Ricky Lee Jones, and Jackson Browne. And the Jackson Browne song, and he wrote this, by the way, called The Rebel Jesus, was a super non-traditional Christmas song. But I just loved it, and the whole album I love, but the song stood out for me.
Yeah, if you like Irish music and Irish, themed melodies and things, that album is a really great record.
Oh, by the way, the Chieftains did an album maybe 20 years ago with Van Morrison.
Yeah, Irish Heartbeat.
Oh man, that's a must-have for everybody.
Yeah, a great album. So this is From Akron and Beyond. I'm Bob Ethington with co-host Nick Nicholas. And this show has a little more just pure music. Probably some of you out there are probably really enjoying it. Less Bob and Nick and more music. Bob. But
turn us down.
These are just some of our favorite sort of pop rock related, for the most part, Christmas songs, holiday songs.
And we were discussing non-traditional Christmas songs, and I was trying to explain that to my wife, and we're pretty non-traditional. Like our Christmas tree, we got it 2 years ago at Home Depot. It's an outdoor tree, but we have it inside the house, and the theme is Star Trek.
Okay.
So, how non-traditional could Jennifer and I get? But
yes, that's pretty non-traditional.
Yeah, carry over from that.
Well, now I'm picking a song that could not be more traditional, but I love this version of this song. We Three Kings of Orient Are. This is from 1964. The Beach Boys made a Christmas album. So anyway, I particularly love the version that the Beach Boys do of this song. Their voices are just so gorgeous. And, when they're singing anything, it just sounds so beautiful. And so this is just really a pretty traditional, nice arrangement of a old classic hymn. But boy, they give it that Beach Boys sound, and it just is so pretty. So here is from 1964, Beach Boys Christmas album they made then, probably at one of their early heights of popularity. And it's We Three Kings of Orient Are.
Hey, my next pick is one of my favorite bands, the Kinks, a song called Father Christmas. Came out in 1977. It takes place in England, but their Father Christmas, their version of Santa Claus, is a store Father Christmas. He's an in-store guy, and he's beaten up by a gang of poor kids. They tell him to give him, just give me all your money. We don't care about those crappy toys you have. They're impractical. Give them to the little rich kids. My dad needs a job, but give me your money.
Right. Typical sardonic take on the holiday.
Yeah,
right,
I remember one of my clone record ventures in New York, going to Golden Disc. I heard about this record. I didn't know what it sounded like, and walking in there, and there it was.
Well, it sounds like a Christmas miracle.
Yeah. Father Christmas.
Well, you have a non-traditional one there for sure, officially non-traditional. And I went with the Beach Boys song, which is very traditional. But the next one I have for you, if the Beach Boys recorded that song in 1964, probably had one of their early bursts of huge popularity, where they were one of the, there's probably like Beach Boys versus the Beatles things in, teen magazines and stuff. Well, this song is by a great group, the Everly Brothers, but this is way after their popularity had waned. In fact, I was surprised how late in this career. It was from 1971. They were still putting the albums out. And I play in a band called Glenn Leisure with Jake Trombetta and Friday Mike Wilkinson. And we made, right before the pandemic, back in 2019, we made this Christmas special that was sort of a parody of, Andy Williams' Christmas special, those kinds of shows. Little comedy, and fake laugh track and the whole thing. And it was real fun, and people seemed to enjoy it. But we were trying to come up with songs for that video that we made, and I believe it was Mike who came up with this one. It's called "Christmas Eve Can Kill You," and this song is one you really have to listen to the lyrics for, because they're quite meaningful, and it's quite a touching song. And no one knows this song. I mean, I certainly had never even heard of it, and everyone I've played it for really likes it. So. I guess you can all out there can consider this my little Christmas gift to you. It didn't cost much either, so oops, I shouldn't have said that. Anyway, but "Christmas Eve Can Kill You" by the Everly Brothers from 1971.
Well, I have one more song from 1988, and it's sad in a way because the song "Fairy Tale of New York," classic by Shane MacGowan, who is no longer with us, has recently passed. And I remember hearing this song probably 20-something years ago, driving, listening to 91.3 and wondering what, it was in the middle of it, like, what is this, what is this song? And did a little bit of research and asked a few questions and discovered one of the most beautiful albums, by the Pogues, and one of my favorite Christmas songs to this day. I remember, just falling for that song, and now with Shane's recent passing, it's brought a lot of tears in Ireland. Yeah, the president of Ireland mentioned how Shane's songs capture with them the measure of our dreams, and will continue to be listened to for the next century or more.
And you should mention or add, Nick, if I may interject, Kirsty MacColl,
who
sings on that with Shane, and that's a major part of the tune.
Yeah, and also...
and she had a sad end, of course.
Yeah, drowned. Right?
Yeah.
And my son works for Magnolia Films in New York, and they, about a year and a half, 2 years ago, they released a great documentary on Shane. You look that up. Anyway, here's Fairy Tale of New York.
Of course, of all the many things that make up the nice qualities of Christmas, and Christmas can be a difficult time for a lot of people as well, of course. But one of the things that is definitely a highlight of it, I think, for people who enjoy the holiday, is the nostalgic aspect of it. I mean, it takes you back to when you were a kid, and hopefully you have happy memories of those times, and a certain toy you got, or a certain visit from, a relative, or going to see Santa Claus or whatever. And anyway, a big part of the nostalgia for me, and I believe a lot of people who live in Akron, are the annual Christmas albums that were put out by Goodyear and Firestone. Not together, of course. They were competing as always. And the Firestone albums typically would focus on one artist and it was almost like a Christmas album by
Perry Como.
Exactly. That's what comes to mind. There was definitely a Perry Como one. The Goodyear ones were more samplers, and you could tell they had some sort of deal with Columbia because, in fact, well, for one thing, I think the records actually came out on the Columbia label, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So that was a hint to me that it was Columbia, but also it was always Columbia artist. And so this one is from 1965. This would have been the fourth collection. They were all called the Great Songs of Christmas, and they did them for about close to 20 years before they ended in the early 70s. And I remember people were sad when that happened.
You know, my dad worked at Goodyear too, so I have most of those albums myself. But there was a great article in the Beacon Journal a few years ago where they actually did the history of these two things. They even had the number of copies pressed. It was like in the hundreds of thousands.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Okay, yeah, but they're popular. They were, you could just get them
Goodyear service stores.
At the service stores, right, for both companies. So anyway, this song that I picked is actually a little goofy, and it always has kind of cracked me up because it's Bing Crosby, and the song is called The White World of Winter. And so you read the liner notes, and it's like it's written by Hoagie Carmichael, and it just seems so painfully obvious. This is late in Bing's career that somebody said, Bing, you had the biggest selling record of all time with White Christmas. You should do another Christmas song, maybe have the word white in it. And yeah, boy, that sounds like a good idea. And so you get Hoagie Carmichael, who wrote Stardust. He's one of the greatest American songwriters, and he comes up with this little gem, which just cracks me up every time I hear it, because I'm like, not necessarily the highlight of either of these people's careers, but it's still kind of catchy, and I think you might find it stuck in your head after you hear it.
Documented here for all of you to hear.
So from the Great Songs of Christmas, their 1965 album, put out by Goodyear, White World of Winter.
Here we go through the snow, in the snow.
So we are coming to the end of our Fave Christmas Songs episode. We hope you've enjoyed it. As mentioned, From Akron and Beyond is now about a year old, and it's been a great experience for Nick and I, and we're going to continue doing this. And at this time of year, it just seems like appropriate to thank the people that really got us going with this whole thing, all here at the summit. We'd like to thank Tommy Bruno and Chad Miller and Matt Anthony, who gets all of our episodes on the podcast for you to listen to. And then, most importantly, I guess, Brad Savage, who is a huge supporter of the show and is also our de facto producer. He's been here with us on virtually every show because we're both dumb, and somehow we do the whole show, and then there would be nothing recorded, and it would be a nightmare.
We'd be stumbling through it,
So with Brad's encyclopedic knowledge of music, we thought, we got to get him on air with us, and let's hear. Of course, we're so nice. We each had 4 songs. Brad gets 1.
Yeah, that's all right.
Yeah. Brad.
But if you listen through the holiday season, you'll hear many of my holiday favorites on the radio station.
150.
That's right. That's right.
But Brad, thank you so much for what you've helped us create
well,
here.
No, good job on the show. It's fascinating, and I've enjoyed getting to know and meeting all of your great guests so far. And, being someone relatively new to Akron overall, just over 8 years here, but I've enjoyed learning the history of music and local culture and all the local arts history. Right. And that's exactly what From Akron and Beyond is all about. Yeah. So, but rather than me or someone at the station here doing these great interviews, you guys have been there through it all and worked with all of these special guests. So I look forward to doing this program with you each week.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, we appreciate that. Thank you.
And and when you told me the concept of this holiday special and favorite songs and said, well, you should come on at the end and pick one. I thought, I have to pick a non-traditional. I happen to favor some of these non-traditional holiday tunes and something a little newer. This was a song that was written in 1994. And the song is written by kind of an Americana alt-country artist, Robert Earl Keen.
Okay, yeah.
So he did it, and I like his version, but we're going to play a cover that came out a couple years later. And the cover is by Jill Sobule. Great. Yeah. You know, she's had a bunch of albums and great cult following, but this was early on for her in like 96. This came out on a collection from Atlantic Records where all of their current artists of the day did a holiday tune. And so I just have always gravitated to this song because of the unusual holiday story it tells, and it paints a picture of perhaps a dysfunctional holiday get-together for a dysfunctional family. So that's the one I picked, Jill Sobule, and the song is Merry Christmas from the Family. And it's about 1996 that this came out. So let's listen.
Yes, I want to hear this. I believe I've heard it once before, but from your description. But let's hear this.
Let's listen to this one. Yeah, this is Jill Sobule, and this is Merry Christmas from the Family, 1996. That's a good one, right? Jill Sobule.
Yeah, I enjoyed that. Yeah.
Beautiful, man. I love that song.
Well, what I like about it, too, is, Christmas is the one time of year where maybe things slow down in everyone's life and you start thinking about traditions. But although, as time goes on, it's anything but traditional. And that's kind of what that song represents, you know, the trying your best at that Christmas tradition.
That's another one of those that I heard on the summit and wonder what the heck that was.
What is that? Well, we're pretty good on this little radio station about finding unusual holiday tunes to share.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah, that song is kind of like, we will be happy.
Right. And it's the law at Christmas time. You must be.
Exactly.
You must be. So, So anyway, Jill Sobule, and if you like it, look up the original version by Robert Earl Keen, which was 1994.
Yeah.
So, very good.
Well, this has been a lot of fun.
A lot of fun today, guys.
And I guess it's our first annual Christmas special. I always think that's funny when people say first annual. But at least I think it's funny. But anyway, this is our first one. We'll probably do this again next year. But in the meantime, we will be back on with many episodes throughout the year. Again, Brad, thank you so much for your help and support.
Thank you, Brad.
And we couldn't do it without you. And Nick, I hope you have a great holiday.
You too, Bob, Brad, and all the listeners out there.
Okay.
Thanks so much.
Merry Christmas.
And as Bob says, we'll see you next time.
Right.